slacker competes with a repeat winner for the Employee of the Month title at work in order to gain the affections of a new female coworker.
This is Ryan.
And this is Ashley.
And this is
Ruining Our Childhood,
a weekly podcast where we remove our childhood goggles and put on our adult bifocals to rewatch and review our favorite movies from the past.
That is what this podcast is about, and it's not a podcast where we talk crap about our parents.
No.
We do talk about them.
Yes.
Usually good memories.
And it's also, as you pointed out, a podcast that my father would not listen to.
I didn't point that out.
Oh. Well, we're pointing it out. He would not listen to this podcast.
That's true. He's your dad. I don't know what to say. So, in case you didn't know, we were doing the 2006 classic, and I really am putting air quotes on that because is it a classic? Maybe not to you, but to us, it's very dear to our heart. Mm-hmm. Employee of the Month.
Yes.
Starring Dane Cook, in case you don't remember.
Dane Cook,
and Jessica Simpson,
and Dax Shepard.
Okay, sure.
Those were the main people that I think are in the movie.
Okay. And
this was the movie we watched on our first date.
Yes, back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Ruining Our Childhood first.
Yeah.
Where we've both seen the movie together.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the other movies, I think this might be the newest movie we've done. So far.
Everything I think was probably pre-2004 so far.
Before we met.
Yeah. And now it's all Ashley and Rai Rai.
You're so weird. Go ahead and hit us with some 2006 facts by going down memory road.
Memory road. This movie was released on October 6, 2006. Mm-hmm. It had a budget of $12 million, and it grossed $38.4 million. Moderate success.
Sure.
Some facts about 2006. The big TV shows were American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, and CSI.
Yes.
The number one song from the week the movie came out was Justin Timberlake, Sexy Back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other hits from that year were Justin Timberlake and T.I., My Love. And I guess it looks like the biggest hit of the year was Beyonce, Irreplaceable.
Oh.
Yeah,
that is a
jam.
song.
Yeah.
That is a jam.
Popular movies, obviously other than Employee of the Month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
You're going to say Caribbean, weren't you?
Pirates of the Caribbean. Night at the Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Cars.
Oh, okay.
So,
that movie is that old. That's insane.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Cars came out that year.
So 2006 was a good year, I would say.
I would say so.
And also, I just wanted to mention the reason why we are doing this movie this week is because it's our wedding anniversary week / when we decided to start dating. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Look at
Go
that.
us.
We've been
9 years.
We'll have been married 9 years and been together 13.
Lucky 13.
Yes.
So we do have fond memories of this movie. I've probably only seen it maybe once after we saw it in theaters.
I think so.
I think we bought it and we watched it, and then I don't know if we really ever watched it again.
I want to say we watched it for one of our anniversaries.
Okay.
And it was an early anniversary.
For sure.
But yeah.
Because now we don't do shit for it.
No, we don't.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. The thing I remember about the movie was Dane Cook was huge at the time. And being excited because I think this might have been his first starring role in a movie.
I think so, because when I was looking up the summary, it did show other movies, and My Best Friend's Girl came out in 2008, and then one came out in 2007. I think it was Good Luck Chuck.
Good Luck Chuck.
So there was a string of movies with him in it because he was a big deal.
He was a very big deal. He's not such a big deal anymore, but I do know he still tours. He's still out there hitting the road and getting some comedy going.
Yeah, I think he was a big deal for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I liked him. I know there was a lot of hate towards him, but I think a lot of it came from the fact that he was so popular. And he wasn't a bad looking guy too, which I think people don't like if you're good looking and funny. Yeah. They tend to not understand that.
I think you're right as far as he had become so huge.
Right.
He was selling out arenas.
Right.
Where the average comedian's playing a club. Him and the only one I can think of that is probably at that level right now is Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Whereas he plays stadiums.
Right.
Which is just insane. And Chappelle is up there. But it became almost as cool to hate him.
Sure.
As it was to like him. And it
was just a like
weird...
Amy Schumer. She's like polarizing. You either like her or you don't like her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a joke. It was a running joke for a really long time that if you like Dane Cook, then you were like a bro. And I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't a bro and I still thought he was funny. And I had a couple of his CDs. I just liked comedy. So that was my thing.
Exactly.
But not everybody's going to like every single comedian. Everybody has different tastes.
Yes. He wasn't for everybody. I do feel like probably some of the hate caught up to him.
Oh, yeah, he was, for sure.
Also, I want to say he was the first comedian to chart an album on the Hot 200.
I also don't think you can translate, because you're a good comedian, doesn't automatically translate into a good actor and have a good movie career.
That's very true.
It works for some people, like you said, Kevin Hart. Mm-hmm. It worked for him. He's a decent actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of plays the same character if you really think about it. But
yeah, he does.
I think there's a difference between stand-up comedians and actors that can also have good comedic timing.
That's very
I don't
true.
think he was good at... or maybe they just didn't give him good projects. Because if you think about all of his movies, they're very similar, too. They're kind of romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Where he's this kind of either a screwball guy or slacker, but he's always trying to win over a really beautiful girl.
Yeah.
In the end. So...
Exactly. Like, because Good Luck Chuck, it was Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
And then My Best Friend's Girl, he was trying to win over Kate Hudson.
Correct.
So, I do know he did do a more serious role, Mr. Brooks, I want to say it was. It was a Kevin Costner movie, and it was more of a suspense movie than a comedy.
He was also in Dan in Real Life, which is actually a really good movie. He wasn't the main character.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, too, is not everybody can be a movie lead.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'm pretty sure we saw every single one of those Dane Cook movies in theaters.
That's true.
So...
We did love the Dane Cook.
We did like him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I still like him. I could listen to probably one of those albums now because I haven't heard him in years and probably still laugh him.
I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I wondered, because I hadn't heard one of his comedy CDs in a while. I was wondering if I listened to it, if there would be things that I'd be like, oh, you can't say that. I'm sure there has to be.
There would have to be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he came up at a time where nothing was off limits.
That's very true.
Where nowadays things kind of are off limits.
I don't know that a lot of his comedy would age well.
Yeah.
I don't think it would.
I think this, if we want to just roll into whether this is going to be holding up, I don't think it will, because I think there will be a lot of his comedy that doesn't translate well to a more modern audience.
I agree.
And I think just this supporting cast, I love Dax Shepard, but Jessica Simpson, to me, she's on par with Tara Reid. Why did the world try to force her on us as an actress? I was
going to say, I would argue she had talent as a singer.
Yes.
I thought she had a very good voice. But yeah, I don't know why movie studios were obsessed with trying to make her a thing.
They were trying to make her a thing on everything, commercials, TV. I mean, she's a dated reference to me. I mean, obviously she still does things, I think. Not anything I notice. But she still exists.
I don't know if she's still making albums. I would assume she is. I don't know the last time I've seen her in a movie. Obviously, Dax Shepard has a TV show that should be starting up here in a week or two again. Got renewed for a second season.
Yeah, with Lake Bell.
Yeah, and he has a very successful podcast. The other day I was telling you he was hosting Ellen as a guest host. So he has a very good career going beyond the fact that his wife is super famous.
We like Dax Shepard. If you listen to her without a paddle episode, we do like him.
So, and I do know Dane was here last year on one of his tours, and he was playing one of the bigger theaters in town. So, like, he's obviously still has an audience, but I don't think Jessica Simpson's got much going for her. As far as the movie, I'm going to say it's probably not going to hold up.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dane Cook, shocker.
Shocker.
Gross.
Fun fact about me and Ashley was we used to work for a large box chain of stores, so we're going to have some PTSD, I'm thinking, as far as maybe some customer interactions that they're probably going to have.
I assume it's going to be pretty good. Not as witty as, like, say, Superstore.
Oh, love Superstore.
There's times in that TV show where I'm like, man, this is so real.
Yep.
This is such a thing that customers do. Or
this is taking me back.
You know, if anybody works in retail, you know.
Yeah.
You know the things customers do. It's amazing.
I think once you've worked in retail for a year or two, you probably should be mandated to go to therapy because that shit will kill you.
So true.
Where can this movie be streamed?
It looks like this movie happens to be on Netflix.
Hey.
So, woo! I feel like we should have celebration music when something's actually on Netflix. And then also you can rent it. If you don't have Netflix, which, hi, one person that doesn't have Netflix, how are you?
Borrow somebody's
What do you do with your time?
Yeah.
What do you do when you're bored? I mean, my favorite pastime is flipping through Netflix for an hour.
I was going to say.
Not able to find anything. But,
and then turning it off and going to Hulu.
And then when I can't find something on there, I'm like, maybe I'll just read a book for once. Anyway, so should we go ahead and go watch this masterpiece and talk about it?
Hit the old pause.
Yes.
And we'll be right back.
Okay, bye.
We just finished watching Employee of the Month. And we're going to go ahead and break down our movie with our categories. First thing we're going to do is get out the two-way radio to talk to our coworker and talk about some technology.
Yeah.
What pieces of technology did you notice?
There was some small references, nothing too over the top, but the first one I really noticed, honestly, was that Zach, Dane Cook's character, had a flip phone.
Yeah.
Very small.
Yes, he did.
That was pretty amazing. How about you?
They kind of have a little clubhouse.
Yeah, they call it the clubhouse.
Yeah, it's up on top of the steel in the warehouse. It's pretty neat. But the thing that's used to make the back wall of the clubhouse is a bunch of Xbox 360s.
Oh, I did notice that.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, good reference.
Yeah, and the other thing, there's a couple shots of the electronics department, and you see the just row of televisions, and there's some nice DVD TV combos.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but I didn't notice a lot of technology used, though.
There was one scene in particular that I noted because it was the whole scene towards the end of the movie where Zach is late because Vince, who is Dax Shepard's character, and his, I guess, lackey, Jorge,
Yes.
went into his house and changed all of his clocks, including his alarm clock, to a different time so that he would be late in the morning, because that's what they counted towards being an employee of the month, was being on time.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking this scene would not be a thing in 2019 because I believe most people probably use their cell phones to do their alarm clock, and your cell phone is pretty much never wrong unless it is dead.
That's very true.
Which led me to think about, do people, since we live in Arizona, we don't have to change for daylight savings time, do people still try to use the excuse that, oh, I was an hour late for work because I forgot to adjust my clock? But I'm thinking, your phone just will automatically do it, I'm pretty sure, so... Yeah,
your cell phone will do it correctly for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just thought that whole scene, I was like, yeah, alarm clocks. When was the last time I had an alarm clock?
And let's not gloss over the fact that Vince's character literally broke the law.
Yes.
Because he cared that much about Employee of the Month.
Correct.
I'm going to break into your home and change... Also, just to change the clocks.
Correct.
So you'll be late to work.
Right.
How about you figure another way to beat him at Employee of the Month that doesn't result in you committing a felony?
No, I mean, in this movie, it is everything. It is the thing.
The thing.
That they care about the most.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about all that comes with that later. Did you find anything else?
In Dane Cook's room, Zach, he has, some data technology. He had a boom box and he had a box television, but I mean, it's 2006, so it should be expected that he would have some of that stuff. But there was no huge reliance on the technology. So
the only, I guess, would be more of a dated reference, but I figure since it had something to do with technology, was when he explains to Amy, who is Jessica Simpson's character, why he doesn't really try hard.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how he was one of the companies that went up in, like, the tech.
Yeah, he had a startup.
What did they call it? It wasn't the tech boom. Or was it the boom? It was like in the early 2000s. The
.com boom?
Yeah, when everything like kind of collapsed in the early 2000s. I can't remember what that was called. But to me it's like a data reference, but it also has to do with technology because and the only other thing was the closing credits were the little register screen, which I'm pretty sure hasn't changed in technology. I haven't worked in retail for a while, but I do notice what registers look like these days, and I feel like they still have that tiny little IBM screen.
But
for the
there's
most part.
A lot more of the computer style.
That's true, and like touch screen, and it's colored.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Kind of dated. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about those trailers?
Yes, there was so many good ones. The first thing I noticed was there was a trailer for the movie Crank.
Yes.
Which stars Jason Statham, who I realized... Statham? Sorry. He does not age.
He's a pretty good-looking man.
He looks exactly the same now as he did. This would have been almost 14 years ago.
Correct.
But the movie that they were promoting, the way the trailer's edited, it felt like something that was made in 1995.
Yes.
And then the music that was used in the trailer was this weird techno, like Mortal Kombat style song.
I saw where they were going with it because it is Crank and it's about high adrenaline.
Yeah.
It made me dizzy, though.
It was awful.
It was horrible.
It was terrible.
And the other movie was Farce of the Penguins. Is that a thing? I have never heard of this movie, and it had a bunch of actually pretty famous people in it.
It had Lewis Black, Samuel L. Jackson does the narration.
Right.
Bob Saget wrote it.
Correct.
Has Christina Applegate, Jason Biggs, Dane Cook, Jamie Kennedy. But it appeared to be just footage of penguins with people who are famous talking about what's going on. It was a 90-minute AFV clip.
Well, yeah, that's basically what it was, but it was supposed to be a spoof on March of the Penguins, which was a very famous movie in that time, but I had never seen this before.
No, never heard of it.
I don't know if I repressed it for a good reason, because none of the jokes were that funny.
I'm going to look up right now and see how much money that movie made.
I'm guessing not a lot.
Let's see. Farce of the Penguins. Came out on January 30th, 2007.
Okay.
And go ahead and you guess how much money it made at the box office.
I want to know how much money it cost.
It does not give me that.
Oh, because I don't know if these people did this as a favor. It was a lot of comedians, so I don't know if they did it as a favor to Bob Saget, or if somebody actually paid them money to talk over this. You know what it reminded me of? When I was a kid, me and my brother used to like to watch documentaries about animals, and my brother and me would make, mostly my brother, but we would do little like narrations and jokes. We would do voices for the animals and have little backstories. And that's what it reminded me of, but when we were 13, or I was 13, he was a little older, we were more hilarious than what I saw in this trailer.
So, I pulled up the Wikipedia on this. This movie also features the voice talents of Brie Larson.
Oh, jeez.
Dave Coulier, John Stamos, Jodie Sweetin, all the...
So some of those have to be a favor to Bob Saget.
Damon Wayans, Abe Vigoda, Allison Hannigan, superstar Scott Winger, voice of Aladdin. This movie grossed $6,000
Oh my god.
$832 at the box office.
I do wonder how many screens it was on.
It had to have been
Holy
maybe 2.
Ugh. So go check that trailer out. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. I did not laugh once.
No, it was
that
terrible.
trailer.
It was terrible.
And there was 2 separate movies that have Amy Smart in them.
Yeah.
The Crank movie had it. I've never seen Crank, but I knew what it was.
I never saw it either.
And then there was a romantic comedy that looked so shitty.
Yes.
That had Seth Green doing a British accent, which, I mean, we've talked about him before. He's good at doing impressions and stuff. It wasn't the worst accent in the world.
No.
Stuart Townsend. It was just... And it had the girl from Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
I can't remember her name or the actress's name. Mm-hmm. But it looked like a horrible...
It was called Unhitched.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
And then the last one that they showed a trailer for was The Descent.
I remember that movie.
And they... Like how in movies they'll tell you, like, this is what this reviewer said about the movie. This is what this one, one of the reviews was the best horror movie since Alien.
Is it?
Yes.
I would question that.
It looked terrible.
Out of all of the trailers that we saw, it actually looked the best. It looked terrifying because it was like about claustrophobia and stuff. So I will say out of all the ones, that one and then Crank was a close second just because it had people we recognized and didn't look... The trailer was just very dizzying. I don't know what was going on with that. Did you have anything about the soundtrack or did you want to move on?
I didn't notice really any of the songs.
They're kind of unforgettable. Yeah. I mean, they were forgettable.
There was just a song, and I apologize, I can't remember it, but Dax Shepard's character would listen to it in his car, and it was like a 1970s song. That one I recognized, but like I said, it made such an impression on me, I don't know it.
The opening song that they used, and it closed out the movie too, that song, I want to say was in Chuck.
Oh, okay.
Like in the first season of Chuck. And I recognized it, but it wasn't something that I knew.
Oh, okay.
Offhand. I don't know why I remember it's from Chuck. I just feel like that's probably where it's from.
Yeah.
It came out around the same time, late 2000s. So, do you want to move on?
Yes, we shall.
The next category is called Kids Would Call It a Throwback. We call it the Prime of Our Teens, where we talk about fashion, dated references, offensive jokes. There's some.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah. So, fashion choices. There's some dandies.
The first thing I notice is that Dane Cook's character, Zach, is riding around. They work at essentially a Costco.
Right.
He's riding around on Heelys.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they make anymore.
I feel like they were really dangerous.
Yeah. Because you see, I know Dax Shepard's overacting when he's trying to be...
No, that
Zach,
would be me.
He was like, as if he was trying on rollerblades for the first time. Right. So, yeah, they were
I never was interested in those because I would be that person that was like, I need to hold on to everything.
Yeah.
Because who designed these? No. I'm sure there's somebody going, I like them.
I remember your cousin used to wear them.
Which one?
Kaylee.
Oh.
I remember she would rock them.
She was 12.
And she was very graceful on them. And that's exactly what I was thinking when I would see her wear them. I'm like, well, if I put those on, I'd break my neck. Yes, and exactly. She was 12. She's like 21 now.
Zach is probably a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
Maybe late 20s.
Yeah.
As a character.
Yes.
Probably shouldn't be wearing those.
I think those were limited to 12 to 15-year-olds.
He must have very small feet.
Yes. What pieces of fashion did you notice?
In one of the beginning scenes, Zach, Dane Cook's character, is wearing camo pants, but they also wear cargo pants. So there's just a lot to unpack there. Camo, cargo, baggy, everything.
Yeah, not a good look.
And his hair, just,
Oh, yeah.
He's got that, like, he just got lost in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, the spiky...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody had a similar haircut for years. It wasn't me.
It might have been me. There was a character named Lon who worked in the Vision Center, and they made him wear like goofy, over the top,
Thick
magnifying glasses.
glasses.
Glass glasses. Glass glasses. They look terrible and stupid. It was going for a cheap laugh, and I think it probably fell flat.
Vince, who is Dax Shepard's character, wore a lot of pinstripe, like the thin pinstripe button-down shirts, which also Brian had some of those.
It was the style.
I know.
Yeah.
I had a jacket, I want to say, at one point that had that, and a hat.
Ooh.
That also had like a bedazzled flower.
It should be noted that when Ashley said she was wearing a hat, she reached up and pulled the imaginary bill of her hat up and went like, "How you doing?"
Yeah, I was being proper.
The other thing I noticed was Zach and Vince both wearing jeans that had flared out legs at the bottom, which I know is a style. Dane Cook wore them in stand-up. That was like his normal wardrobe.
Ryan liked him so much he noticed his wardrobe.
Yes, but yeah, so that was one of the things.
No, I did notice that too, was the baggy jeans, because I feel like the last 10 years we've gone to more slim cut, and which I think is more flattering on everybody. Well, maybe not everybody. It's people that have curves.
Yeah,
especially men probably feel like they don't want to wear too tight of jeans, but I do think they look nice. Mm-hmm. I feel like men's fashion has really changed over the years.
It has. It's constantly evolving.
How about offensive jokes or dated references?
One of the first dated references that I noticed was Zach riding an electric little mini motorcycle.
Yeah, I remember when those were a thing.
They were hugely popular. The best part was, then I went to work in law enforcement. You cannot drive those on a sidewalk, on a street, anywhere. And I felt bad. The one year when they were super popular, it seemed like every kid got these little motorbikes. They couldn't ride anywhere. They were telling you needed to go get a license plate for it.
They kind of go fast.
They do.
They're dangerous.
They do.
Because you're thinking, I think motorcycles are dangerous, but those things are way bigger. But you're telling me these tiny little things that aren't really going to hold your body very well.
No.
I mean, they don't go as fast as regular motorcycles, but geez.
They're unstable. You can't drive it on a sidewalk, so you're supposed to drive it on the road.
Right.
They go maybe 10 miles an hour.
I think they go faster.
Well, okay, if they even go 15 miles an hour on a road where cars are going 50, scary as hell.
In this movie, it seemed like he was going 60.
Oh, he was burning rubber.
Because he was late for work.
Yeah, he was burning some rubber. He did at one point pick it up and just start running with it.
I mean, he had to go through a field.
Yeah.
So.
Take that shortcut.
Yeah. I put that one down. I also put down near the cashier's lounge, which is a whole thing we'll talk about later. There was some music posters, and there was a 3 Doors Down poster.
Yes, there was.
That was classic.
I definitely caught that one. I don't know that I have any more dated.
But offensive?
Oh, boy, do I ever. There's a character in the movie called Jorge. And the movie called Jorge.
Correct.
And they like to call him Jorge.
Yeah.
Because he might be gay?
They never say.
They don't.
And honestly, he doesn't do anything to convince you either way.
He doesn't hit on any guys.
No, he's very dedicated to Vince, Dax Shepard's character. As a friend.
Exactly.
Kind of as a lackey.
He's kind of his sidekick, but they at no point imply there's affection between them.
Other than there's a scene towards the end where they do that. He's like, I want you to come home. Which I thought was kind of funny, just because of how dramatic they were being.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like they started the movie making those references, and then all of a sudden, like halfway through the movie, they just stop.
Yes.
Making any references to them being in a relationship or gay, or him especially being gay. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know.
It was, pointless.
Lazy writing, I guess, which... we should rename this movie Lazy Writing. They say retarded a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And it's about the large security guard named Semi.
Yeah.
And he talks very slow.
Yeah.
That's pretty much...
That's about it.
Yeah. And his name is Semi, so at one point, Vince, Dax Shepard, goes, "Are you semi-retarded?"
Classy.
Is that why they call you Semi?
And then when he loses the competition, where Semi points out that he's
Cheating.
Zach clearly paid the retard.
The retard.
Is what he said.
Yeah.
Classy.
I'm just saying, I'm laughing at the fact that he said the retard.
Retard.
Which is...
Retard. I apologize.
No. I was... Because that's a reference to The Hangover.
Oh, yeah.
But...
He's a retard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, classy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other one that I had was when Vince and Jorge are inside the house and Zach's sweet little grandma is going to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Jorge brings out a knife, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But towards the end, he's like, Vince says, "You said you were a Mexican, not a Puerto Rican," which I guess, are you referencing that Puerto Ricans are in a lot more gangs?
I guess.
Or they bring knives? The only thing I can think of is in West Side Story, there was a Puerto Rican gang and they
brought out knives.
They did bring out knives.
Huh.
So is that a musical reference or is it just a... I don't know the stereotype of Puerto Ricans knifing people.
So if he would have took out a gun, what would he have been?
I don't know.
I don't know. Apparently only Puerto Ricans use knives.
Yeah, not Mexicans.
You're not Mexicans. The last one is there's a character named Abel. He's Pakistani. And Iqbal, sorry. Mm-hmm. He invites Zach and a couple other guys to his house for a party. What they don't know is that it's a kid's birthday party.
Correct.
So they're just sitting around having some beers while kids are running around. And the one guy says, "Am I at a Chuck E. Cheese stand?"
Oh. And he's his friend.
That was his friend. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's the same character that kept calling him Iqbal's.
Yep.
And I'm like, you wrote that character's name just so you could make that joke about balls.
Yep.
Like Who wrote this? A 12-year-old boy?
Like you said, lazy writing.
Not great writing, guys?
No.
Not great. Should we move on, or did you have anything else?
That is all I have.
Oh, the only one I didn't mention was there's a part where Zach and Amy are on a date. They're on top of the roof where apparently there's a mini golf thing. Just add that to the list for later.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having a heart-to-heart. And Zach's like, "I can't believe you exist as a woman because you're nice and you're beautiful. Most girls that are 9 to 10s can't even hold doors for themselves."
Yep.
And I'm like, bitch, what are you talking about?
Yeah. He's special.
Apparently, we live in this world where if you're pretty, then you're not a good person, too.
That's all you are. You're just pretty.
Yeah.
You get by on your looks.
That's true. I mean, look at me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I know. I see your face every day, Ashley.
You are beautiful.
Aw. Thank you. Mm-hmm. It's our anniversary, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this week, not today. Anyway, do you want to move on?
Yes. We're going to move on to our category we like to call Well, Hello There, where we talk about any cameos or famous and recognizable. Easier for me to say. Take a shot. Famous or recognizable actors or actresses that we forgot were in the film. And who did you notice?
The first one I noticed that I kind of must have blacked out, he was in this movie, was Andy Dick as Lon, who you mentioned earlier. He was the optometrist.
Yes.
That also is blind. So, great at his job.
He was fantastic. I noticed Harland Williams.
Correct.
As Russell. He's stand-up comic, been around forever, star of Rocket Man.
And he was in Half Baked.
Half Baked, yeah. I always liked him. He was I think he was one of the cops in Dumb and Dumber.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So he's just been in a ton of stuff.
Efren Ramirez, Pedro, most notably Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, played Jorge, who we've already mentioned.
Brian George is in it. He was the Pakistani actor that I mentioned earlier. I remember him from being in Seinfeld, and he was in Keeping the Faith.
He's been in a lot of things.
Just a ton of things.
He played Kuthapali's dad in Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's also, I was looking him up, and he's done a ton of voice work. And he does a lot of voice works for all of the Batman animated series,
Oh,
including
okay.
Batman, the animated series.
Yeah, he's just been in a crap ton of things.
The other one I noted because he's recognizable to me as a child, and because he's one of my in one of the movies when I was a kid scared the shit out of me, which we probably could do for Halloween. It probably should be on the list. Is Sean Whalen.
Mm-hmm.
He was in People Under the Stairs.
Oh, yeah.
And that movie, I watched that movie way too young. Freaked me out. I didn't like going near stairs because of it.
That'll do
Even
it.
though sometimes they weren't physically underneath the stairs. It was just, I don't know. Anyway, and he was also in Never Been Kissed and more recently Superstore, which we talked about earlier, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed Danny Woodburn. He played the regional manager
Right.
for their company. The big thing I remember him from was he played Mickey on Seinfeld. He was Kramer's buddy, and they would always compete for girls.
He's
and
another
stuff.
character actor where
Yeah.
you see him in everything.
Just a ton of stuff. But yeah, he was on, it looks like 7 episodes of Seinfeld, and he still acts. He's got a reoccurring role on The Bold and the Beautiful. So, still
And his brother, who was the lower manager, I think you wrote him.
Yeah, Tim Badgley, just a character actor. We looked him up. He's been in pretty much every sitcom you could ever think of.
After we looked him up, I remembered he's in Will and Grace,
Mm-hmm.
but he's one of they have 2 couple friends, and he was one of the gay couple. And
okay.
I remembered him from then because they would always be really snarky with them. That was all I had.
That's all I had as well.
Awesome. Is it even good? Is the next category.
Oh boy.
Is it even good?
Mm-hmm.
Where we talk about the plot, the casting choices, and we name our funniest and most cringiest moments of this movie. The plot.
The idea that people would line up at Costco to watch somebody check people out and scan their items is downright insane.
Yeah.
When you're in a grocery store, you want to get the hell out of that place as quick as possible.
I
Not
agree.
watch the guy juggle your groceries.
I'm going to say a disclaimer here. Don't get me wrong. I know a movie is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's movies that are based in fantasy
Yes.
that have dragons and crazy things like that. But when you base a movie on retail,
Yes.
please do a little research. Please talk to somebody that's ever worked in a retail job.
Yeah.
Because holy crap, there were so many discrepancies in this movie. It boggled my mind, and it made me be distracted from the rest of the movie because I was like, that's not ever going to happen.
Oh.
And I know it's stupid because you shouldn't do that in a movie so much, but it does throw you off a little when you're going, okay, I worked in a very similar place. That doesn't happen.
No.
Nobody cares about Employee of the Month. I'm pretty sure where we worked, they would forget about it for months at a time.
Yeah.
And it would just be a little plaque. And they'd go, hey, look who made Employee of the Month. The end.
Yep.
I don't even know if they got anything.
They didn't even have a sweet parking space for you to use.
No.
It was awful.
And no retail store would close early to throw a party.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose sales
Yeah.
to boast their employee. That's not a thing.
Another one, it was Zach and Vince start essentially pranking each other.
Right.
And Zach takes Vince's 1981 Honda and puts it in the store up on a shelf for sale, and some guy buys it. The manager makes him give up his car.
He's like, it's part of our rules. If it's on the sales floor and it's in inventory, we have to sell it.
And he says to him, or we could get a complaint. Not sued. None of that. We could get a complaint. Which, having worked in retail, they take complaints incredibly serious for some reason.
They do, but they don't.
Yeah.
The only way in our company that they took them serious is if they actually got a piece of paper from corporate saying, this customer called our number and they said this, and now you have to look into it.
Yeah.
But that rarely happened because nobody gives a crap.
Yeah. Very true.
I also feel like when we watched this movie originally, when we were just early 20-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
The clubhouse concept was really cool. You noticed. I wish there was something like that to help me get through my days in retail. But it also was just very
unrealistic.
Unrealistic for sure.
When I worked for a company, we had bike builders who bikes come in a huge box that are really long and narrow. So what they did was just essentially keep the first 2 inches of the box and make a facade.
Uh-huh.
So when you would walk by, it looked like a box of bikes, but essentially it was just 2 inches of the box, and then there was a huge pallet. They made a spot where they could go up there and take naps.
So
they kind of had that. Yeah, it was a brilliant concept. And managers never figured it out, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I could see that because managers aren't really anywhere to be found.
Yeah. And the other, it's a plot hole, is they needed a forklift to get up into their clubhouse because it was on the top of steel a good 20 feet up. So there's an employee who just would lift them up to get up there. How do they get out?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Ryan.
Also, their clubhouse was very spacious.
It was, and those racks aren't that big.
They're not that wide.
And there's so many things wrong with this.
Yes.
How did nobody ever notice that they'd always go in there together at times?
Yeah.
It's a busy store. It's basically Costco.
Yes.
So what's going on, movie?
Yeah.
I have a lot of issues with the state of this superstore, but we'll talk about them in a minute.
Okay.
What was your funniest line or moment?
I struggled to find a funny moment.
In a comedy.
Comedy. There was my favorite, I guess, funniest part was a kid goes missing in the store, which
you love kid violence.
Essentially, this kid has now turned the store into American Gladiators.
Right.
And he's shooting tennis balls.
Which, I'm like, who has that turned on?
Yeah. They have a pitching machine, and the kid is just launching tennis balls everywhere. So Vince and Zach are running to go save the kid because they want to. Yeah, and they want to get the gold star for the day, being the star employee. So Vince, while he's shooting tennis balls at him, he grabs one of the tennis balls and throws a fastball at the kid, hits him in the head, knocks him out. The kid falls down, and he's terrible at playing dead. But then Vince picks up the kid and runs him back to his mom, which happens in slow motion.
Right.
The mom is so happy, she of course has to hug him.
Yeah.
And then he grabs her butt while hugging her.
Right. So many things wrong with that.
And then what I described, you're probably going, that wasn't that funny. Yes, it was not. And that tells you about how funny this comedy was.
I will say there was a couple moments that I chuckled.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was I listed as my funniest was Zach, Dane Cook, is helping an old lady with a casket.
Mm-hmm.
And which they sell there, apparently. I think they sell them at Costco, too.
I think they do.
He's helping her with the thing, and he's talking to her like, oh, you lost your husband. She's like, no, but I probably will murder him. And then at the end of the conversation, he's like, good luck murdering your husband. And I always thought that was funny. So that one, it was just like a one-liner.
Yeah,
funny.
It's a little chuckle.
But literally, I think I laughed like 3 times in this movie. So that should show you where this is going, guys. Yeah. What was your cringiest line or moment?
There was quite a bit that was cringy.
Uh-huh.
When Jessica Simpson's character Amy is coming to work for the first day, the door greeter stops to ask her for her membership card and is just staring at her boobs.
Right. He's just looking her up and down.
Yeah.
All creepy like.
Like a total creep. She doesn't look the least bit offended.
Well, no, because that's what girls did in 2005.
Yeah.
Or 2006.
It was just, there was so much cringy. Yeah.
I was being sarcastic, by the way.
Yeah.
Mine was just the kiss between Vince and Amy.
Mm-hmm.
It was their first date, and she clearly did not want to kiss him. And I know that was meant to be funny, but I was just like, gross. And he also called her kitten after that. He's like, see you later, kitten, or something like that.
I did like that he gave her a countdown to the kiss.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
It wasn't so much a countdown. He was just trying to be like, it's your last chance. And she's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
The other one was just a really cheesy delivery and line was at the top of the conflict of when Amy finds out that Zach has only been trying to sleep with her, which he never actually says, I just want to sleep with her.
No.
He kind of likes her.
Yeah, he does like
sure,
her.
He bases it all on her looks, but then he, gets to know her a little bit.
But he didn't say, I'm going to get Employee of the Month just so I can nail her.
No.
No, he wants to impress her.
Right. Exactly. He's not a bad guy.
No.
She's like, you Employees of the Month are all the same, because her ex-boyfriend at her old store was Employee of the Month and he was a douchebag, similar to Vince. And I just thought it was a really cheesy line. Because, again, they put this Employee of the Month like it's freaking winning something really grand and amazing.
It's amazing.
It's insane to me. And the fact that they do this, I'm just going to go into this. They make such a big deal about this. Yet there's only 2 people in the running. If you notice, they have this board in their break room where they are tracking.
Yes.
And putting gold stars on every single day during this competition. The only 2 people that have gold stars are Zach and Vince. Dax Shepard and Dane Cook.
Well, and then at the beginning of the movie, Vince runs away with it.
Right.
And he has a gold star for every day. So he never takes a day off. He works 7 days a week.
Apparently.
31 days a month. Interesting.
But I'm thinking, also, I don't know if we mentioned this, the prize for the Employee of the Year, if you get so many employees a month, you get a car.
A car.
So you're saying that nobody else in that store wants to win a car.
And it was a 2005 Chevy Malibu. This movie came out in 2006.
Yeah, so it's slightly used, I'm pretty sure.
Slightly used, maybe has 20,000 miles on it. It's a good car.
Right.
They're not giving away a Datsun.
So, another plot hole. Nobody else wants this car. Nobody else wants to win Employee of the Month. But they do sure make a huge deal about it.
Yeah. We mentioned how this movie is thin on the writing.
Right.
There's an actual scene where Dane Cook takes about 1 minute of film time setting up a coffee maker. He's looking around trying to find the buttons. It's a very simple coffee maker, folks. Not that hard. They dedicated 1 minute of a 90-minute movie to that.
Yes, I was thinking when I saw that scene going, I know he's a slacker, but he doesn't know how to make coffee?
And he's like 30.
He's 30. He doesn't know how to make coffee. He's a slacker. But then also, a couple scenes later, he's talking about how he's the super genius who created an app and stuff that just, didn't do well.
Exactly. That's a good point. He's supposedly very smart.
Just saying. Plot hole.
Plot hole.
Was there... I'm sure there's more. Did I even say my cringiest? Oh, I did. We did.
You did.
We just kind of segued into just additional...
I have a lot of additional, if you want to go through these.
Hit me with one.
Okay. So, there's a scene where there's a wet mop cleanup needed.
Right.
Which, again, we work retail. You have maintenance that goes and cleans this up. Dax Shepard and Dane Cook are having a running sprint to get to this wet mop cleanup. I can only assume Dane Cook, this is where he's been for the last 15 years, is he opened a running school where he teaches people how to run. I believe he taught Brie Larson how to run in Captain Marvel.
Oh, wow.
It was such bad running. He almost looks like he's doing a jig because he's moving both arms at the same time like he's trying to flex while he's running. It was terrible.
Oh my god.
Like he said, oh wow. He turned into Owen Wilson.
That's true. I did. Mine was another thing to do with the whole cashier and you're so amazing. And for some reason, cashiers have a lounge to themselves, which...
Yes.
If anybody works in retail, I feel like cashier's a little low on the totem pole. There's a lot of them, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think like department managers or somebody would have a lounge. Yeah. If there was this magical lounge, which, let's be honest, there's one lounge. And it's shitty.
The cashier lounge looked like the New York Yankees clubhouse. Yeah. It had plush carpets, recliners, mahogany cabinets.
It did. Free soda.
Free soda.
Which, if anybody works at a startup, that's not that impressive. They give you free drinks all the time.
Yeah.
Free food.
No.
But still, in retail, that's not really a common thing.
No.
But my whole thing was, so Vince, who's the star cashier, employee of the month, over and over again, he has to be very crazy with his checkout style. He flips boxes like he's freaking a bartender at some...
He's Tom Cruise in Cocktail.
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 Ooh. Where's that bar at? Sorry. At one point, they have really long lines, and I'm thinking if I was the manager, I'd be like, we have super long lines. Can you cut down the pageantry for a minute so we can, get rid of some of these lines?
Stop juggling their groceries.
And why do you have so many fangirls?
Yeah. All of a sudden, at one point, they introduce a company softball game?
Right.
Out of left field.
Correct.
Literally, Dane Cook runs in out of left field. It was very unnecessary, other than they're competing, so we have to show you now they have athletic prowess.
Yeah.
It was just unnecessary.
I think the only concept it helped out with was having Iqbal fired, because Zach says he's going to cover his shift, like he always does, but he's so distracted by this competition that he leaves his shift that he's covering for Iqbal to go to the softball game, and Iqbal gets fired.
Which he shows zero remorse initially about.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't care that his buddy got fired, which I'm like, dude,
I think he even made a thing like, well, you're always taking off work, I'm always covering for you.
Yeah, he's like, that's not my fault you got fired.
But it all works out.
Yeah. The last one that I noticed was they have this, like you mentioned, the company party where they close down the store, where they're going to have a checkout competition.
Yes.
And Vince and Zach have to go do a price check on a tire.
Correct.
And they keep throwing curveballs at him, like, you need to help this old lady find bunion pads, which Vince starts climbing the steel, and he's a good distance up. Zach grabs a quart of motor oil and throws and hits him in the head. All the while, management is cheering them on. They're committing actual OSHA violations.
I'm pretty sure they had to take some training courses about safety and OSHA violations, and they were breaking so many during this competition. Again, we know this is a movie, guys, but still. Let's...
realistic in the least.
No. It's weird, too, because I do compare this to the TV show Superstore a little, where they do crazy antics, but it's small compared.
Yeah.
And it's also a TV show. They don't always do the crazy antics every single time. This movie is based on the crazy antics that aren't realistic at all.
Yeah.
And I noted that Vince gets a free dinner from a fan. Just overall, I just wanted to know where this magical place where you got Employee of the Month, got a free car, and the company pays to have professional baseball uniforms or softball uniforms for their one softball game, and buys a large amount of employees a steak dinner. I just want to know, because I want to work there.
And gives out a $15,000 automobile.
Yeah, I said that.
Okay. I apologize.
That's the first thing I listed.
Sorry.
Should we move on, or did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay.
As you're aware, on Ruining Our Childhood, it is always award season. And we're going to go ahead and give out the first of 2 awards, the valedictorian to the Nicolas Cage Online School of Bad Acting. And who did you give your award to?
I don't know if this will be a huge surprise to you, but I gave mine to Andy Dick.
Oh.
Because I felt like his character was unnecessary. It was an unnecessary addition. You had mentioned earlier that the joke of him being blind and having thick glasses kind of fell flat. Well, they did it multiple times.
Yeah.
In different ways, but they all weren't funny. After the first one, we get it. He's blind and he's an optometrist. Ha ha ha. Hilarious. Yeah. You have Harlan Williams already as kind of a goofy sidekick for Zach. So I just felt like he was unnecessary.
That's true.
He just didn't add anything to the story, and his parts were not funny, and it was beating a dead horse.
Agreed.
That you could not see.
I gave mine to Jessica Simpson.
Aw.
She wasn't the worst.
No.
But she's the least developed character, possibly in film.
Yeah.
She was unnecessary. I also... whoever directed the film, I think it was mandated that every time they showed her,
She
they had to show her chest.
And she was always nipping out.
Yes.
It must have been very cold in that store.
Apparently. But you could tell she was out of her league as far as... I mean, Dane Cook is not Tom Hanks. She was out of her league trying to act with these people.
I will say, because I know we kind of talked about in the beginning that Dane Cook probably isn't the best actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't sustain his acting career as a leading man.
No.
But I will say that he was decent in this movie.
Yeah.
And his character wasn't bad either. His character was the least offensive, almost the least offensive character, I would say.
And if you want to move on to the next award, that is who I gave my Thomas J. Hanks to.
You mean the valedictorian? Or no, the Thomas J. Hanks Award for Exceptional Acting?
Yes.
I started reading the other one.
I expected a lot worse from him.
Right.
But he had some charm to him. There was times where he was a little cringy, but his acting wasn't the worst.
No.
I was a little surprised. Him and Dax Shepard definitely carry the movie.
Right.
I was kind of a little pleasantly surprised at. He was charming and decent.
Yeah, he was. I think his character wasn't what I remembered or expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was a slacker, but he helped people out. He helped his friends out, his grandma, and you could tell he was a little defeated in himself. I mean, that was the whole plot, was he was a slacker because he had failed and he didn't really want to have to fail again. So.
Yeah.
And if you can't fail if you're not trying. I got that, and I didn't mind his character.
No.
And his acting. I gave mine to Iqbal.
That's
Brian
who my second
George.
choice would have been.
Because I felt like he was a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
He was well-rounded. He was like his father figure.
Yeah.
In a way. And he was the only true actor or character that I didn't find super cheesy and annoying.
Yeah.
For the most part.
He was the most normal.
Yeah. He was
Literally.
just a good friend character.
Mm-hmm.
He had a life and a large family, apparently.
Yeah.
And he wasn't some, over-the-top stereotype of his
in a movie
ethnicity.
That was very light on writing, they didn't go that route, other than they made that one shitty Pakistani joke.
Yeah.
But he was not a stupid
Stereotype.
stereotype of his nationality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was my close second, actually. He was really good.
Yeah. So, do you want to move on to our final thoughts?
Yes.
Go ahead. Hit me with it.
What did you think? Do you think the movie held up?
No.
Not
but I
least.
will say it did not hold up at all. But I will say it's because for different reasons than what I initially predicted.
Yeah.
When we did our predictions at the beginning of this podcast, I thought this is going to be offensive towards women.
Mm-hmm.
Just the laziness that we did for so many years with those screwball comedies or bro comedies. It was just, let's make fun of everybody around us to make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that at all. The main character is actually pretty convincing, charming,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of feel for him at times. He just doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
So I get it. But then he starts to try, and he sees that he's good at things.
Yeah.
But this movie was just not funny.
That's exactly it. Because
It's supposed to be, but it's not.
I was thinking the same things you were. I didn't feel like they actually overly sexualized Jessica Simpson. Just whoever directed it opted to show her chest a lot.
She wore a lot of low-cut shirts
Yeah.
that I didn't think were
But
great.
They didn't really overdo it.
No.
They didn't develop her character. They gave her zero backstory other than at another store she dated Employee of the Month.
Which they apparently took that as she only dates employees a
Yes.
month, and she's a slut.
Yeah. There wasn't a ton of cringy moments as far as, I thought there would be racial humor, gay jokes, stuff like that. There
Yeah.
really wasn't. But like you said, it's not funny. We chuckled maybe 3 times in a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
It was not good.
It was not good.
Yeah.
And I still, like I said, I couldn't get over all of the plot holes that just were insane. And I think this was a time, and I think I've said this before, there was a time where you could get away with this over-the-top, anything could happen just for the sake of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the older I get as an adult, and I think the more we progress as a society, we're not into that stuff as much anymore. We want, like, realness, and I don't want so much real to be where I'm depressed. With, you know, if you watch an indie movie and it's a little too real and you're like, well, this was depressing to watch.
Yeah.
But I still want to be able to believe in a movie that plots could actually happen.
Yeah.
And this was not great.
No, it was really bad.
It was. So, with that, we did want to mention, if you haven't seen and you're listening to us on Podcoin, they are closing up on Tuesday, which is when this episode will come out.
Yes.
And it sucks because we have developed quite a following on Podcoin, and because of Podcoin, and we just want to make sure that you know that we're still going to be putting out episodes.
Yes.
And they're going to be available pretty much anywhere else you can listen to podcasts.
Be on Spreaker, the Apple Podcast app.
Even YouTube?
YouTube. We're out there. It sucks they're closing down because, like you said, they helped promote our podcast a lot and get a lot of subscribers. So just know it's closing down and go follow us someplace else.
Yeah. And let us know. We put out a post about it on Instagram and Facebook. Let us know where you're going to listen. We just want to make sure we still have people that are going to listen.
Yes.
I mean, and I just want to be able to track, you know, what people like and what people don't like. So definitely let us know. And if you haven't followed us on social media, definitely check us out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at ROC Movie Podcast on Twitter.
At Ruining Our Childhood over on Facebook and Instagram.
I'm dying.
Sorry.
Yes. And Facebook. Also at Ruining Our Childhood.
Yeah.
So, again, we really appreciate anybody that listens, and we hope that you continue listening and just, you know,
keep making us part of your week.
Yeah. For sure.
So, tell an enemy, tell a friend. Yeah.
If you only have enemies, then, you know.
Tell them.
Tell them. Tell them. Oh. So, I guess we're done.
We are. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.